So, when we listen to spoken words, what seems like a usually effortless process of hearing and understanding them is actually quite complicated and involved. One of the things that makes understanding speech a difficult task is that the same word or phrase can be pronounced in many different ways depending on the context. For example, there are a few ways I might ask you the question, "Did you eat?" If I'm speaking to someone in a noisy room, I might loudly and clearly ask, "Did you eat?" If I'm having a casual conversation with a friend, I might instead pronounce the same question as, "Do you eat?" And in some cases, if I'm feeling particularly rushed and need to get the question out quickly, I might even pronounce it as, "Ji." So if you're listening to me ask that question, you might hear any one of these pronunciations. Did you eat? Did you eat? Or even, "Ji." And your task is to accurately perceive that all of those constitute the same string of words, understanding that I'm asking you whether or not you've eaten. On the face of it, this is a pretty tough task. We have to hear sequences of sounds that are often spoken very quickly and unclearly, and each time we have to correctly decide what we heard. However, humans tend to be pretty good at this, and we perform these complex calculations without giving it much thought. The ease with which we do this has led some linguists to propose that we have just one idea of what a word should sound like, and the various ways that the word can be pronounced in different contexts are essentially automatically corrected when we hear them. That is to say, the various ways that a word is pronounced don't change our mental representation of how that word should sound. So this idea basically says that we have one idea of what the question, "Did you eat?" should sound like, and when we hear the three different versions of it that I gave earlier, we automatically undo the variation in how it was pronounced to understand what was said. My research challenges this idea, showing that contextual variation in the way a word is pronounced actually can affect how we conceive of the way that word should sound. What this means is that while we do have one uniform idea of what sounds make up a word, that mental representation has different versions, and which version of a word we think we heard depends on the way that word is pronounced in different contexts. So, when we hear a word pronounced in a certain way in a certain context, we recognize that pronunciation as constituting a specific version of a word. And once we've done that, we're then able to recognize which word was spoken. What this means is that the different ways a word is pronounced in different contexts can actually have an effect on how we mentally conceive of that word. So this conclusion is based off of a set of sound patterns in San Martin Perez Mixtec, also known as Tunsavi, an indigenous language of southern Mexico that's also spoken by many migrants in the Monterey Bay area and throughout the US. The sound patterns in this variety of Mixtec have important implications for our understanding of the ways in which we comprehend human language. However, the field of linguistics has historically based much of its findings off of a handful of languages like English, French, and German, and it wasn't until relatively recently that the importance of incorporating data from a diverse set of languages was recognized. So while this project provides concrete contributions to the field of linguistics, it also highlights the value of indigenous languages, which are important and valuable both in their own right and in the contributions they can make to our understanding of human language. Thank you.